1.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Escobar, and I'm going to be arguing that silence does more harm than good. Every day, we might not notice that everyone suffers silently. People deal with losses, depression, and many difficult situations that we may not know. And they don't even express it and how they might feel in those situations. It's held back. It might feel like that silence is harmless. However, in reality, it's really not. It manifests problems, it creates conflict, it goes undetected, and it even worsens throughout time. Because of this, silence is not always the safety measure to go to. So this is why I argue that silence is more harmful than good. The 3 main points I want to cover is how silence affects mental health. Secondly, I will go over how silence allows harmful situations to continue. And lastly, I want to highlight the positives of how to healthily communicate how you feel and how it can be an influential thing for others. Let's begin. Silence impacts mental health. Bottling up emotions causes frustration, anxiety, and even stress. In most cases, it even damages relationships. Imagine you're married to your husband and that you're unhappy with. He may not know how you feel because you're holding all these suppressed emotions in and not saying anything. When I was researching, I found multiple authors, Gaddy S., and Michael, many other professional journalists, and originally from the Social Science and Medication, from their article Contextualizing Public Stigma, from the endorsed mental health treatment on college students, found that students reported found that college students didn't truly report truthfully how they felt about public stigmas and holding in their emotions on surveys. They later on found out that students suffer depression, anxiety, and stress almost every day from the ages of 18 up to 24. They never really truly voiced in their surveys, and so the evidence wasn't recorded equally between women and men. Due to this, silence next, because of this, it allows harmful situations to drastically continue. This includes abuse, unfair situations, or bullying. People and students, for example, stay quiet during bullying or some type of abuse when parents are fighting in the background, or when kids are making fun of another kid for answering the wrong question. That's all things that people do in silence. They watch instead of act. Mental illness isn't just the cause, but however, stigmas are. Public stigmas, for example, are a root cause of this. Public appearance, public face, people feel embarrassed to even act on something because of the fear of being looked at differently. So I came across Corinja and Patrick W's and lots more authors article that aimed to study behavior of college students that had relationships with of mental illness, identity, and they measured shame and secrecy. They aimed for secrecy and shame with relation to mental illness. Their results ultimately ended up in the influence of silence from these students, women and men, were affected equally, with also mental strains tying to it. Thus, meaning that ultimately speaking up is important for everybody around you. Next is healthy communication. This includes speaking up and rising to the cause, and in order to have a good effect on others, including yourself. Talking to somebody helps you heal. Whether you witnessed your parents fight or whether you witnessed your friend get bullied, you can talk to them, or you can convince them to go talk to a professional, or they will come to you instead, or even a family member they trust that can help them out. This encourages change in many ways. It encourages the uplifting of somebody's emotions and encouraging someone to voice their conflicts within themselves and what they go through. Ultimately, this means that I came to the conclusion, and I found Resendez Kelly, a journalist for the BigVoiceRise.com. Her article titled "The Power of Speaking Up in Places that are not built for you." She suggested speaking up is an act of kindness, an act of service. It can be so much more for yourself and as well as for others. It's an equatable human act that shows value by asserting your self-worth in front of however many you are in front of. A good example I can think of is John F. Kennedy, or, for example, MLK. He spoke about his dream to have equality among blacks and whites at that time of segregation. Without his voice, many others would have not had the courage to fight for their right or protest their right to vote as a black man or woman. This is why it's important that you realize you're not alone. People that speak up and don't stay silent are important for us, and that includes yourself. My conclusion for this is, while silence may seem harmless, it often leads to more harm than good. It allows problems to go unresolved, create misunderstandings, and prevent important changes from happening. But instead of that, I suggest closing off our voices hurts something that is important. And we should remember to speak up and voice our problems to whoever we feel comfortable to. Thank you. This is Elizabeth Escobar, and I'd like to thank you for reviewing my speeches. Thank you.